now you are seeing a real rarity. These are for the Eclipse of 2017. Oregon, Idaho, Wyoming, Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, Illinois, and all these other states here that are mostly in the south that could see it. But it was a nationwide 3,000-mile journey of the sun, the moon, the earth.
The first total eclipse to span the entire, all of North America since, I believe, the 1400s. They said the last one was actually before Columbus was even born.
Wow. And then there was something about a mostly eclipse that was like 100 years ago. I don't remember that one.
And I remember when I was a kid in like 94, there was like I think it was a 75% one or something, but nothing beats the total.
Enabling your vision. Power and tell. So I work at a non-disclosed telecommunications company, and I really enjoy doing that type of work. But anyhow, they were cool enough to provide us with these glasses in a paycheck. Now, I was working when this happened. I wasn't really able to enjoy it. I did take like 5 minutes and look up at the sky, and I'm like, wow, we got clouds. And that was my eclipse experience. But anyhow, I let the captain over here use these glasses because the NASA and all these other great empowerers of science and taxpayer money couldn't deliver what the private sector was able to do here.
Yeah, and here's what happened. I really have to vent about this because the last week or so before the eclipse was spent, basically, was spent panicking about how the hell I'm going to get a pair of one of those damn glasses. Because here's what happened. They sold out everywhere you go. Casey's was selling some, some stores were selling some, but they were criminally underproduced, just to a ridiculous degree. You can find a fidget spinner anywhere, but you can't find one of these glasses. And here's what happened. I found out the library system here in town. We live in this is being shot in Cedar Rapids, and we have a pretty respectable library network, like 4 or 5 libraries within the network, one for every part of town, basically. And in the part that I was planning on visiting and getting my glasses from, the Marion branch, the NASA was going to send glasses to every location, and the library was going to give them away for free. Due to it was some kind of supposedly generous move by NASA to the libraries could
empower children,
could get these glasses. Here's what happened. This local library, which services about 50,000 people, received 150 of these glasses from NASA. 150. They were gone in 3 minutes. There were people waiting in line before the library even opened. I will bet you that a lot of those glasses that got taken were not even used, especially since up here in Cedar Rapids it was cloudy. So they weren't really any good to anyone up here anyway.
Yeah, I was with people who had them, and they just put them in their pocket. They didn't do nothing with them.
But even if you had been able to see something up here, I'm betting you that a lot of those glasses were wasted. They weren't even actually used. They were, people took them as as an afterthought or just because it was free shit. And here, me, somebody who actually has scientific knowledge and is into astronomy and science and space and shit, and could appreciate this event on more intellectual levels than I would say the average person could muster.
Yeah. Well, you went on a whole pilgrimage, man. You were going down to Missouri. You were going to where you could experience it the most.
And I could not get a pair of these glasses anywhere, including the library, which is supposed to be the place where where you can come to when nobody else will help you. The library is there to help you, and
especially for science and education.
I have to say that I think NASA really dropped the ball. I think that NASA would have been wise. They knew for years that this thing was coming, And I realize that NASA's budget is extremely low, but that's part of the point. They can't really do shit with the low budget that they have right now. So why not, instead of like shooting up another satellite for some cable company, or I don't know, whatever they're spending that money, or taking a few more photos on Mars of rocks, more rocks on Mars. Why not,
Inspire kids with science.
They're not even sending people up there anymore, really. I mean, at least not to the degree that they were when they had shuttles. They can't do shit with the low budget they have now. Why not use that, 1% of the budget that they get, or less than 1%? I think it might be 0.1%. I don't know. Who cares about the facts? At any rate, it's a low percentage of the budget. Why not use that? I mean, these things aren't all that expensive. They're made out of paper. The filters, it can't be that expensive to make. Why not dedicate the budget just for 1 year to mass producing these glasses so that children across the country can enjoy this eclipse? What better way to inspire the future scientists, astronauts, and taxpayers of this great nation than and to justify yourself as a government entity than to mass produce these glasses so that kids of all ages and adults who are actually intellectual and into this shit can enjoy this less than once in a lifetime event. I mean, this isn't just a once in a lifetime event. This is something more like in the hundreds of years. I feel very privileged to experience this thing. My friend here, the Deviant Historian, he was kind enough to get me these glasses, and before we knew that he was going to get these glasses, we had a plan A. We had a plan B, or I guess you should say.
Let's look at these really quick, though.
Okay.
Because let's just show that this does show it's ISO certified.
Yep.
Because that's something that I feel is a valid point before we move on.
Yeah, that's another thing. I tried to find these online, and I did a very normie thing, unfortunately, which is I waited too long to get these glasses. I looked online. Yep, they are.
It's a website for the company that made them. These are actually made in America, not a sweatshop in China.
Yeah, and that's what I discovered online far too late, which is that the majority of these glasses are made in China. A lot of them are fake. It makes me shudder to think how many people bought faulty pairs of these glasses and suffered eye damage yesterday because of it. Who knows? We'll probably find out. They'll probably say, you'll probably be able to find that somehow, that information. But these are the real thing. These are legit. It's not going to take you 2 weeks to get them shipped to you from China after the thing is already over.
It was 2 days, wasn't it?
It was
on their website, but they sold out. They were sold out.
Yeah, well, this website, the website the company that made these offered 2-day shipping. But pretty much if you typed into, basically like Google Shopping, tried to find a pair of these glasses like this, they were all from China or Taiwan. You could get them cheap, but once again, you had no guarantee of quality, and the shipping was going to take 2 weeks to a month. You would have received them long after the eclipse was already over. So I was very grateful to get a pair of these.
Thank you, PowerTel. You gave him the power to see the once in a lifetime opportunity too.
It was amazing, yes.
Cool.
And to make just for clarity, you don't actually need, if you're in an area where Cedar Rapids was not in an area to view the total eclipse. So if you were in Cedar Rapids, you needed a pair of these to look at the eclipse at all. Fortunately, I was in Missouri, so the total eclipse itself, I was able to view without the glasses. But before and after, as the sun was being covered, you needed these.
The group of people you were with, how many actually had glasses like these?
I was the only one, and so
Wow.
they all depended on me to. And of course, we knew what time the eclipse was going to happen, but they depended on me to tell them the exact second that last little bit of light disappeared behind the moon.
So you had the vision, you had the power.
Yes. Before the Deviant Historian knew that he was going to get a pair of these, we kind of entertained the notion of possibly using this, which is a welding mask, and you can see it here. It's a pretty cool thing. The Deviant Historian had this in his parents' basement, I believe it was.
Yeah, I took welding in high school.
He took welding in high school, so yeah, he had this already. And one thing that they made a big deal out of before, in the weeks before the eclipse, was educating people about shade numbers. And these glasses are shade number 14, which is about the highest shade you can find when it comes to the tint of the glasses. You look through these. In fact, maybe we can actually, if you look, you see I'm pointing the camera directly at a lamp. You can't see it at all. These glasses only let the strongest light sources shine through, and when you see them, they're very dulled. None of the dangerous light gets through. So, but this is a more kind of this is more for just welding and stuff, and it's uncommon to find a welder who actually uses shade number 14 shades in there.
Shit if you had that.
In there, yeah.
You gotta make sure you're making the mark right. You don't want to get the spark in your eyes. You
Yeah.
gotta see it. It's more of a protection so you don't get the weld and that stuff in your eyes.
So shade number 10 and shade number 5 are more common. I am not positive, but I would guess that this is a shade number 5. Judging by, I don't know if you can,
Yeah.
but yeah, you can definitely see through it very easily. So
You got a whole video in my apartment now.
no, I mean it didn't. I mean you can't see much,
Yeah.
but you can see a very little bit. But you can definitely see more than what you would be able to see with those glasses. Which with the glasses you can see next to nothing except the strongest of light sources. Even in the middle of the day, even at noon on a bright sunny day, you can see nothing with these on unless you look right at the sun. Then you can see a circle, an orange circle. That's all you can see. So that was an idea. Some people did that. Some people had welding masks when looking at the eclipse. I'm hoping that they had the appropriate shade number, though, because otherwise they might have still been at some risk for eye damage unless they were using it just to glance at it really quickly. But I was down in St. Clair, Missouri. That's where we were. The forecast was actually calling for thunderstorms all across the Midwest. And we actually got kind of lucky. My friend, and I want to say hello to Ian if you're watching this. Ian is actually the guy who designed my business cards, also, or helped design them anyway. He went down there with his dad and was in Columbia, and unfortunately Columbia was overcast, just west of where we were, and St. Joseph was too. That's where I knew somebody else who went to St. Joseph, which is pretty close to Columbia. There was also a lot of cloud cover there. Where we were in St. Clair, there were clouds around. I would say that it was partly cloudy, but the eclipse itself was not covered. We were really in a perfect place to view it, and it was a spellbinding thing. One of the great phenomenons of nature. I feel very privileged to have seen it. It was unlike quite anything I've ever experienced, and I will never look at the sun the sun or the sky quite the same way as I did before. The way the sky darkens, the brilliant, pure golden white ring of light that's around the moon, which is a black silhouette when it's being covered. The fact that you can see the stars all of a sudden and the planets in the sky. All of a sudden, the planets and the stars become visible, so you can see the solar system. The sun, the moon, the planets, the stars in this sort of dark blue sky. The way the clouds are shaded. It's this almost otherworldly...
It looked kind of like this then, right? This was fairly accurate, only more awesome. Because this does show stars, sky, kind of the blue.
Yes, it was a bit like that. Yes, and unlike anything I've ever experienced, truly amazing. And we do have some newspapers here documenting the event.
So this is kind of cool from the realm that this is like crushed dead tree newspaper. So this is kind of a dying relic to some extent.
And it looks a lot like this. The only difference I would say is the ring. Of course, this is paper and this is a picture. So the ring around the sun, around the moon, is you can't see the brightness of it. It doesn't look like light. In real life, this looks like light, and there are flares. Where I was, there were three flares coming out, the solar winds or something. I mean, it's just like coming out, and this is the corona here, which is the upper atmosphere of the sun, which is usually not visible. But I can't overemphasize the brilliance of the white, golden, pure light that this ring looks like in real life. And the second thing is, of course, around the sky is not black in real life during a real eclipse. The sky is sort of this deep dark blue. If you've ever seen an old movie where they do day for night, where they darken everything to make it look like it's night even though it's not, because back then cameras were not sophisticated enough to shoot at night. They had to sort of do it. They had to create sort of an artificial night. That's what it looks like. It looks pretty close to exactly like that, like like a day for night shot in an old movie, where the sky is like this dark blue, and everything is still very visible. It still feels like day. It doesn't feel like night, but everything is a very kind of dark blue, and it's unlike anything you've ever seen if you haven't seen a solar eclipse. And it can be imagined. It can be imagined, but it's difficult. It's until you actually experience the thing. It's quite a thing. And afterwards, on this trip, because we were so close to it, and it made perfect sense, we took a trip to this place, which is the Cahokia Mounds in Collinsville, Illinois. And this was amazing because you see here this mound. It's a giant, probably 100-foot tall earthen mound, surrounded by a bunch of smaller mounds. And this was actually a city, a Native American city, where modern day St. Louis is now. And it was the largest city in North America up until the year 1800, when Philadelphia finally surpassed it in population. But until then, this was the largest city, and all of the mounds are built in a way that is astronomically significant. They actually had their own version of Stonehenge. The mounds themselves were signified different things during the year. The city itself and the network of mounds was basically a giant ancient calendar. Probably one of the most impressive Native American sites east of the Mississippi, and perhaps in general. And it was very meaningful to come here on the day of a solar eclipse. We went here immediately after. And it was quite a thing. I definitely intend to go back when I go back down there for the eclipse in 2024. I definitely intend to come back here and see this again, because it was pretty wild. Imagine spending your life building this thing, and in your entire lifetime you maybe only see it grow like a foot. I mean, it took hundreds of years to build, but it was built, and you can see the stairway that goes up to it. If you check out my channel, I have a couple of videos. One video taken from the top of it and the view, where you can actually see downtown St. Louis in the distance, and the St. Louis Arch, and then so it's a 360 view of the view from on top of the thing. And then there's another video. It's another video of the view, but this one shows the stairs, the the 2 levels of stairs that take you up and down the thing. Really wish I had a slinky when I was there.
You got to bring that next time.
Got to bring a slinky next time. Yeah. So anyway, just wanted to note that if you ever are seeing a solar eclipse or really doing anything in that area, honestly, I don't know. I'm not going to say anything bad about the area, but I will say that this is one of the places really worth checking out if you're in that area. So definitely do that. I think that
Sums it up.
pretty much covers all the bases. And so anyway, cool pair of glasses. And
Let's plug the website that gave the glasses out. What are they called?
they're
are made in America.
Eclipseglasses.com. Yes, made in America, and they meet ISO standards, which is very important.
What's crazy though is they sucked at being found on Google. Like good luck Googling that, because it seemed like they didn't show up much on there. You know what I mean?
And everything you did find was from China, probably not really certified. The certifications were probably fake. Would take too long to get there, to be shipped to the United States. And NASA isn't going to be much help either because they just didn't mass produce these like they should have. I mean, it seems like a pretty obvious thing, but
they probably would contract it out. They're not going to manufacture it, but they didn't contract it out to enough.
At least contract it out or do something like get these into people's hands somehow. Because what better way to justify the space program and science and research and the wonder of the universe than an event like this that has when it happens almost a supernatural feel to it. It's hard to describe, but I feel very privileged to have been able to experience it.
Was it like a transcendental experience, kind of, or a
It was. I mean, just the fact that I'm never gonna look at the sky quite the same way again. I mean, it's when you. I mean, intellectually, that something like that is possible because you hear about solar eclipses all the time. But actually seeing it and seeing what it entails, seeing the way that the birds, there are actually some birds nearby on the sign of the gas station. And just in the few seconds that the eclipse became total, those birds reacted to it. They all flew, took off and flew, and sort of flew in a circle as if they were kind of confused, which I knew that stuff like that happened, like how the darkness confuses animals. And these birds, it was very clear that they were reacting to the darkness, to the eclipse itself. And it was like clockwork. It happened it didn't happen until the eclipse became total. Even though things were getting dark, the birds didn't react that way until just a couple of seconds after the eclipse became total, and then they noticed the darkness and they started flying around confused, and then they landed. They settled down again, and then when the light started coming back, just as the little spot of light reappeared on the other side, and it started getting brighter again, the birds did the same thing. Just a couple of seconds after that, they started flying. They all took off and flew around in a formation, in a circle, as if they were kind of confused, and then they settled down again as the light came back and the sky became brighter. Let's see, what else was I going to say? You see how the moon perfectly covers the sun like that. And the light, the beautiful, just I would say that light coming like from the corona of the sun was just the most beautiful light I've ever seen. It just pure golden white light. I mean, if you think of light, just light with just completely natural light with no impurities, which the sun is, but with your naked eye you can't see it. But of course during the eclipse you can see it, so you can see it in all of its splendor and beauty, and it's just it's a glorious thing. But when you see this eclipse and you see the solar system, you can actually see the planets come out and the stars come out, and you see the sun in front of the moon like that. You get a sense of the almost the mechanism of the mechanism of nature. It's like you're in a giant system that's that's working like clockwork.
Like an ecosystem.
Yeah, well, it's like clockwork. It's like the orbits. All of the orbits are,
Synchronous almost.
Can be predicted. They can be predicted because of the laws of physics to the thousands of years into the future, within fractions of a second, because that's how accurate the laws of physics are. You look at it and it's just this feeling of synchronicity and just nature itself being in the clockwork of nature. I mean, that's the best way I can describe it. It's this amazing feeling when you see the moon slip in front of the sun so perfectly like that. It's I don't know. I mean, I think I've described it as well as I can describe it. It's just this feeling of connectedness, and it is transcendent. It really is, or transcendent, I should say. It's yeah. If you have the chance to see one, go see it, and make it happen. That's I guess that's all I really have. That's all I can say, really. Yeah, so I think we've covered everything. Yep. Get on it, NASA. Make more of these glasses next time. I mean, it's not going to happen again until like 2024, and that's not going to be a nationwide one. The next nationwide one is, or I don't think it's even
like
nationwide.
100 years.
Yeah, it's pretty far ahead in the future. I'll be an old man if I'm even around at all. But yep, make it happen. Start thinking this way, NASA. Start thinking in a strategic way to get people interested in science. Instead of just kind of pissing the criminally little bit of money that you get away on other stuff. Do things that are going to inspire people and really, in their mind, justify your existence. That's because I'm on you guys' side. I really am. I want you guys to be successful.
Like you are with libraries too, even though you.
But you got to start thinking this way.
Yeah.
You really do.